Good morning, everybody. And a welcome once again to our President's Hall of Fame breakfast to get started on our quarterfinal Friday. I've said all year long, Arch Madness may be arch insanity this year. I think we're going to see that firsthand starting at noon today with a terrific matchup. And congratulations to Valparaiso getting your first Arch Madness win last night and moving into the quarterfinals against our one seed, the Loyola Ramblers. It is with great honor that I stand in front of you today as we welcome you to this gorgeous Stiefel Theater and Auditorium, a historic location and the perfect location for a 2019 edition of our Missouri Valley Conference Hall of Fame breakfast. Before we begin our formal program today, we would like to recognize two presenting sponsors for this year's event. First of all, the Enterprise Center, and then also St. Louis-based Canon Design. Those of you who have seen what the Enterprise Center has done with their renovation, it is very impressive. If you haven't, when you're there for the games today, if you can, just take a look around. But it has been a remarkable renovation, and we need to give the folks at Enterprise Center a hand for what they have done to make that facility even better. And at this time, for a special presentation, I would like to introduce to you now John McAllister from Canon Design. John?
There we go. All right. Good morning, everybody, and I just want to say thank you for having us. We are truly honored to be a part of this. What a cool environment to be around. Who doesn't love March Madness and this time of year? I just want to share with you who we are a little bit, but then really not do the sales pitch and just talk a little bit about what architecture can maybe do for a lot of your institutions. So. Canon Design is a global firm. We do a ton of work with higher ed and institutions like yourselves, and especially sports, rec, and athletics, as well as now health and wellness. And you all have probably seen how that is starting to tie into a lot of the sports. We are an innovative firm, and for the second year in a row, we're in the top 10 by Fast Company. So I bring that up because what does innovation mean for us and you guys? Institutions like yourselves. So a lot of times we get asked to do things that are sort of beyond just architecture and developing buildings, how we can help our clients connect with philanthropists and donors in their communities. So this is a project, it's going to be a quick story here. In southern Indiana, we were working with their athletic team, and John Mark Hall, who is the athletic director, he approached us and asked if we could help set up a donor presentation. And so the innovation really came behind using technology, VR specifically. We ended up creating a digital model where we actually had one of the varsity men's basketball players come in the model and shoot free throws in front of a bunch of donors. I have to say it was probably, this video should be playing here, I'm sorry. Let's go back. It was a very interesting experience to watch the crowd interact with this guy on stage shooting free throws in the future stadium that he was going to be playing in. And really it was all about getting his perspective, the student athlete, what it would be like to play in a space like that. So a little bit about technology there and how that can help you guys connect with donors, I think is an interesting story to tell. At the end of the day, we had a huge applause, and it was a very successful presentation. So I had a video here, and it's not playing, but I just want to say thank you guys for having us. We are super excited to be here and can't wait for some of the games to start today. So thank you.
Thank you, John. To put this day and this morning in perspective, we have to look at the history and the conduit that we are at this time. This league is 112 years old. In the 06-07 year, we celebrated the centennial of the Missouri Valley Conference. Only the Big Ten is older. But this league has done so much. I mean, when you look, the founder of basketball, Dr. James Naismith, was one of the founding fathers, if you will, of this conference over a century ago. And over time, there have been 34 members of the league, but the 10 current members right now, and I'll talk about this when I introduce Doug, I mentioned it yesterday, in some ways, it's never felt stronger because it feels like it's a tie to the past, but also a springboard to the future. What this league should be very proud of, and its story to be told, is the historical impact it's made. There's been national champion teams. There have been national champion athletes, singularly. We'll see Olympic champions later today be recognized. But this league has always been at the forefront with the first African-American Division I basketball coach and giving opportunities to minority players when other schools would not, to give opportunities to female student athletes when other schools would not. This league has always been a pioneer, but it's always worked together. The 10-member institutions have always worked together in a competitive environment to make this a special league. And that's something, when you think about our honorees today, that it puts it in perspective. But none of it would happen if there was not leadership and cooperation and commitment at the highest level on our individual campuses. And that comes from our Valley President's Council. They have been committed to provide the best athletic programs possible within the academic environment on their respective campuses. These men and women have led the way, not only in our league, but really in the nation, hiring top-notch athletic administrators, providing resources and infrastructure to provide a potential for success on all 10 campuses. It is easy to take it for granted. I'll mention that here in a minute when I introduce Doug. But I would like to take the opportunity to introduce the Valley President's Council, those who are in attendance today. And if you could hold your applause until I mention all 10 presidents, I'd appreciate it. In attendance today from Bradley University, Gary Roberts and his wife Donna Carr Roberts. From Drake University, Earl Marty Martin and his wife Laura. Here from Illinois State University, Dr. Larry Dietz and his wife Marlene. From Indiana State University, in attendance is Dr. Deborah Curtis. From Loyola University, Chicago, Dr. Joanne Rooney. From Missouri State University, President Cliff Smart and his wife Gail. From the University of Northern Iowa, Dr. Mark Nook and his wife Cheryl. And from Valparaiso University, Dr. Mark Heckler. If they would all stand and let the rest of us show our appreciation to them for their leadership and direction. Ladies and gentlemen, your presidents of the Valley. Also, as we continue, I would like to thank a few individuals who have worked really 12 months on making this morning in specific happen. And they've worked really hard to make, especially for inductees and their families, to make you feel this event. Stephanie Sadler and Adrian Silverstein from the Stiefel Theater staff, Chris Fromm from the Enterprise Center have once again worked very hard to make this happen in a historic facility. Please give them your applause for the work that they have done. And then from the Valley, she is a woman of courage, a cancer survivor. Carla Feit is phenomenal. She, along with Mike Kern, the chair of the Valley Hall of Fame Committee, guidance and selection of the inductees, as well as the influence of Valley staffers Mason Glick and Kate Delaney, who have contributed to this morning's ceremony. Part of a lean and mean and multitasking Valley staff that works very hard for 12 months out of the year. Please acknowledge their efforts. And finally, a special thanks to Jim Trotter, the St. Louis-based photographer and artist who has produced the stunning framed portraits that will be presented to the inductees to their schools today. Jim and his son, Jim Jr., are in attendance with us today, and let us appreciate their good work for making this event awesome. Jim? And now it is also with great pleasure that I get to introduce to you someone that I feel is one of a kind. Yesterday at our Coach of the Year luncheon, where we got to mention all of our award winners throughout men's basketball this year, I and also Southern Illinois basketball coach Barry Hinson, who's been coaching in this league for 16 years, both used the same phrase, family. The Missouri Valley Conference, and let's just be real candid about this, with the expansion and contraction of leagues across the country, and I know a lot of you have felt this, a lot of leagues have lost their culture. This league has not. In fact, it has thrived. And the reason is, in my opinion, the leadership, and it starts with Doug Elgin and a staff that includes people like Jack R. Watkins and others, Patty Viverino, and right down the line. 124 years combined years of serving the Missouri Valley Conference. But Doug brings continuity. He also brings creativity to the Valley, but he also understands conduit. And today we celebrate conduit with this induction of this class because Doug is one who has brought the past of this league and its remarkable history and understands he's laying the foundation for the future of where this league goes from here. So would you join me in welcoming 31-year Commissioner of the Missouri Valley Conference, J. Douglas Doug Elgin.
Gee whiz. Good morning, everyone. It's a privilege for me to congratulate the MVC's Hall of Fame class of 2019 and to welcome all of them and the members of their families who are here for this special occasion. This event is always a highlight of State Farm MVC Tournament Weekend. The event every year gives us an opportunity to celebrate the tradition and history of our league. This is our 22nd induction class, and we will have honored 119 individuals when we're finished today through the 22 years of this event. The men and women who have come to St. Louis to be recognized have been humble, unassuming, and always very appreciative of this honor. And their stories always seem to remind us of all that's good and positive in college athletics. Our thanks to John McAllister and his team at Cannon Design and the Enterprise Center for their support of our Hall of Fame activities. I also want to thank Mitch Holtis. Yesterday's tip-off luncheon is a tough one to follow. It's a great way to enter this tournament weekend, but he always finds a way to lead us through great events. We appreciate all that he does to promote the Missouri Valley. His genuine passion is apparent. Mitch has been the voice of the Kansas City Chiefs and a primary announcer on MVC basketball telecasts for the past 25 years. And as the longtime MC of our major functions, not only around the tournament but others, he certainly always elevates these events. So thank you, Mitch, for what you do for us. Just a couple of comments about our Hall of Fame for context. When we inducted our charter class of Hall of Famers in 1997, it was 9 decades after our founding. As we established the Hall of Fame, we began the challenging task of identifying and honoring individuals from a candidate pool that was really it was tens of thousands of people who had been active in athletics as student athletes, coaches, and administrators through a long history. Last summer, when our Hall of Fame committee considered nominees for the class of 2019, the list of worthy individuals was very lengthy. Still, just to underscore how special this opportunity is for those who are being honored today, this year's class was selected from a nomination pool that included NCAA All-American student athletes in several sports, many of whom went on to successful professional sports careers, accomplished head coaches in many sports with illustrious resumes, and campus leaders and other major contributors whose influence and leadership helped to shape the history of the Missouri Valley. We're excited to be honoring 4 former student athletes and 2 former coaches today in today's class. We hope that all of you have a great tournament weekend, and we thank you for your attendance this morning.
The other thing Doug has done is created a culture. It's very hard to do that. Our presidents would say that on all 10 campuses. Tough to do that. I speak to businesses across the country. Everybody's trying to create culture. It's kind of a buzzword, but when you see it, you know what it is, and the Valley has it. And Doug has created that culture for 3 decades. But the family feeling, if you're truly family, you experience it all. And I have to be honest, the times that we've experienced loss also is very profound. And we had that this past year. You know, there's moments in my brief 25 years in this league, the text about John Sanders, the call about Charlie Spoonhour, and others stops and freezes me in time. It's the same when I got the text this summer about Larry Kotler. I was on Larry's show for 20 years. Des Moines, a Chiefs town too, a lot of it. And a lot of people sent me text messages and say something awful has happened. Larry Kotler, the voice of the Drake Bulldogs, he was the cop man. I wrote a foreword for his book. He received this year the John Sanders Spirit of Valley Award posthumously. You know, for years he interviewed thousands of sports personalities in a 43-year sports career. And Doug, he too loved the Valley, and man, did he love the Dogs. He was swept away in a terrible flash flood in Des Moines this summer. One of the things I used to kid him about was the spirit of his wife. I think Deb is here today. Deb, where are you? Hi, Deb. She loves the Chiefs too. Deb Brewer Kotler is here. But Deb, you and your family have our deepest sympathies. Secondly, this past October, Dr. Carla Montemagno, Chancellor of Southern Illinois University, after 15 months of service on the SIU campus, was also lost. And Dr. Montemagno was known for his interaction with athletics and a regular and passionate about Saluki events. This past weekend in Springfield, they had a celebration. It was bittersweet because they celebrated the career and the life of Dr. Mary Jo Wynn, a true pioneer. I mentioned this league was out in the forefront before many others, most others, all others in some cases, in giving opportunities for women athletes. And Mary Jo was right at the head of that first block. 23 years as an athletic administrator, a recipient of the John Sanders Spirit of the Valley Award. She was also inducted into this Hall of Fame 2 years ago on this day. Would you please join me in a moment of silence as we remember those 3 in specific, but others that we have lost in our Valley family. Thank you. And now it is time to induct an outstanding new class into the Missouri Valley Conference Hall of Fame. And the first member of our 2019 class is a 2-time national champion and Olympic gold medalist. A native of Council Bluffs, Iowa, the late Bill Smith is the most recognized wrestler in Northern Iowa's terrific wrestling history. His Olympic gold medal was the first ever earned in UNI history. He took the 160-pound division in the 1952 Summer Games in Helsinki, Finland. Bill Smith powered his way to consecutive national championships in 1949 and 1950, and his undefeated dual record, 52-0-1. Following his career as a competitor, Bill Smith was a highly successful coach at the high school and the college and the club levels. He has been inducted in 3 different Wrestling Hall of Fames, including the National Wrestling Hall of Fame in Stillwater, Oklahoma. And as Valley correspondent Brad Wells relates, the wrestling ring was Bill Smith's personal playground.
During his time in the late 40s and early 50s with the UNI wrestling team, Bill Smith lived out the dream of many. Amazing athletic achievements for this Council Bluffs, Iowa boy include 3 AAU championships, being named Outstanding Wrestler of the 1951 National AAU Tournament, and when representing the Iowa State Teachers College, Smith never lost a match and was crowned an NCAA champion in 1949 and 1950. In 2013, he reflected on his career.
What happened in 1950, right here in this gymnasium, that was pretty exciting because you can see that there's not many seats in here. And when you watch the tournament, there were people standing all over. You didn't have any seating capacity to sit down. Most people had to stand and watch the thing. And then for us, as a small school of 2,800 students, taking on all the big schools across the United States and beating them individually, and then come out and win the team title was really exciting. And it was exciting for the fans at Iowa Teachers at the time, or UNI.
The 1950 National Championship team for UNI is the only one in Panther wrestling history, and they were inducted into the UNI Athletics Hall of Fame in 2009. In January 2013, UNI named the wrestling mat in Bill's honor.
Oh, it means a great deal because of the kind of excitement that we went through, especially not only as a national scene, but also because of the individuals that were on the team and for the school, for that matter, and the fans that we had.
Individually, Bill went on to even greater success. He's the only American wrestler that left the Helsinki Olympics in 1952 with a gold medal. It's an achievement that's grown in significance over the years.
Winning the NCAA championships, which we did here as a team in 1950, but winning it as an individual was the pinnacle of wrestling. And so that was the biggest thing you could do in the sport of wrestling as far as we were concerned. The Olympic Games were something we didn't know that much about because, since the first one they had since the war was 1948. So the last time they had Olympic Games was 1936.
Bill went on to a great coaching career as well at the high school, college, and AAU levels, including 3 AAU national team titles. His impact on the sport of wrestling is felt all across North America, from California to Canada, and he points to his championship roots beginning at the University of Northern Iowa.
One of the really cool things about this, it's like in Psalm 100, the blessing of generations, to accept the induction into the Hall of Fame for Bill Smith is his granddaughter, Kaylee Lemke. Ladies and gentlemen, Kaylee Lemke.
Good morning, everyone. I am extremely honored today to be accepting this induction into the Missouri Valley Conference Hall of Fame on behalf of my grandfather, Bill Smith. I'm Kaylee Lemke, and I'm one of Bill's 15 grandchildren. My grandpa sadly passed away about a year ago and would have been very honored being inducted into this Hall of Fame. He graduated from what was then Iowa State Teachers College and is now the University of Northern Iowa, as you all know. He was always so proud of his alma mater and his time there, and before he passed, he donated his Olympic gold medal to UNI. He spoke so fondly of his friendships, the education he received, meeting his wife, and the many accomplishments his wrestling team earned while he was there. He was always so proud of UNI and was grateful for the foundation it laid for him in his life. This path led him to a lifetime of much success in wrestling, coaching, and teaching. By donating his gold medal, his hope was that it would help inspire present and future wrestlers and students to reach and work hard for their dreams, much like you fellow Hall of Famers here. Our family misses our grandfather and wishes he would have been here to accept his award today. But on behalf of Bill Smith and his whole family, we want to thank the Missouri Valley and all the people involved for this award. To close, I would like to read a poem 2 of his 5 children wrote about their father many years ago. It is called The Wrestler. Man's life is related to competitive sports: football, baseball, soccer, and all sorts. He often competes with companion or team, but the man who competes alone should hold our esteem. One sport that creates a man of this breed is a sport in the papers you will not always read. You might find him in a hot room, sweaty and damp, striving to be the ultimate champ. On a mat, standing tall, one arm in the air, or in a lone corner, head hung in despair. Staring down, reluctant, at ice cream and cake, waiting for morning and the weight he must make. Running, sweating, spitting, it's morning's fate, one last pound before it's too late. Wrestle, scramble, defend and attack, reach, hold, stretch, get off your back. On bottom, on top, he's up and he's down. Only one will wear the eventual crown. An individual, self-disciplined and eager to learn, to win right now is his only concern. He likes it, he loves it, he works hard and long. He is witty and quick, and in mind he is strong. He's a man above and before all the rest. I know because my dad is the best. Thank you.
Wow, Kaylee, way to go. And your granddad would be very proud of you. And speaking of way to go, our next recipient, you know, there are some women or men on their respective campuses that are just like a pillar. We talk about Mount Rushmore of certain places or schools, and this guy would certainly be on the Mount Rushmore at Bradley. 70 years at Bradley University. First as a student athlete. He was a native of basketball crazy, Peoria, Illinois. He was a junior at Bradley in 1948 when the school joined the Missouri Valley Conference. And Joel Stoll, for 70 years. He was a key contributor on the 1949-50 basketball team that has become a favorite answer in trivia contests because they played in both the national championship game of the NCAA tournament and the NIT. Joe was an assistant coach at Bradley from 56 to 65, and then he became the head coach for 13 seasons and won just under 200 games. If that wasn't enough, Joe got the women's basketball job, and for 2 years was the head coach at the Hilltop of the Bradley women, winning 33 games and helping the transition from AIAW to NCAA Division I. And then his international experience. He has coached at clinics around the world, 5 continents and 16 countries. And then, for 25 years, he carried Dave Snell on the Bradley basketball contest. The voice of the Bradley Braves, the aforementioned Dave Snell, shares. Stoll grew up with Bradley, but Bradley will never leave Coach.
The Paul Morrison Award winner for a lifetime of service is Joe Stoll, simply Bradley's #1 icon. Spanning over 8 decades, he has witnessed, played, coached, and broadcast more games than anyone else, and it's not even close. A graduate of Peoria High School, Joe came to Bradley and played on Forty Anderson's #1 team in the nation, playing in both the NCAA and NIT championship games in 1950. Coach Stoll is a veteran, serving in the Pacific Theater in World War II. He then began his coaching career at small Armington High School, then to his alma mater, Peoria High, before being hired at Bradley to coach the freshman team and be the top recruiter for another Valley Hall of Famer, Chuck Orsborn, alongside Marilyn, his wife of 67 years. From 1966 to 78, he coached the Bradley men's team and was voted Coach of the Year in 1973. Then the Bradley women's head coach for 2 years. He's traveled the world holding clinics and bringing basketball to third world countries. In 1984, He coached the Egyptian national team to the Olympic Games in Los Angeles.
The first time I ever met him, like I've been knowing him all my life, and I've enjoyed the Bradley family, but Coach Stoll is kind of special, his wife and his kids, so I really got a lot of love in my heart for him.
It was kind of like playing for your father. He was always in my business, and I didn't mind it at all because, you know, sometimes a person outside your family can give you the correct advice. You know, I love him for that.
I came over here on half scholarship, and he was nice enough to bump up me to full scholarship my sophomore year, and he taught me to be a better defensive player, more aggressive defensive player. And so he helped me along my path.
A lot of life lessons. I know the main thing is to always be positive, and he was such a good motivator to motivate people. You know, give 100%, work hard, play hard, always have fun. You know, love what you're doing, and it'll show.
No, it's a culmination of a life story that needs to be held in high esteem and shouted from the top of this mountain. His dad was one of the first coaches to ever get the privilege of representing the United States in overseas clinics. He recruited players not because of their color or capability, it was their character and commitment.
You could talk to players, both men and women, from decades, and they all have the same story. And it's that the short amount of time they were able to spend with Coach has had an enormous impact on the way they live their lives on a daily basis today. And so, Coach, let me speak for thousands of people to wish you the best, congratulate you on this award. It's well-deserving.
Coach, thanks for the 25 years with me and over 80 as Bradley's #1 Brave. You're most deserving of the Paul Morrison Award.
Ladies and gentlemen, our Paul Morrison Award winner and subsequently into the Missouri Valley Conference Hall of Fame, welcome Coach Joe Stoll.
All said? Thank you. Thank you, Dave, for the fine introduction.
Hang on. 1 second. Let's go with a photo.
Of course. Thanks for the fine introduction. It's really an honor to be inducted into the Missouri Valley Conference Hall of Fame. I'd like to congratulate the other inductees that are here today. I wish my wife could be here. Marilyn and I had been married for 67 years, and she fell on a little bad health lately, but she certainly would have been here, and I couldn't have done many of the things I did without Marilyn. It's nice to have Dave introduce me. We've been friends for a long time. I'll tell you one story about Dave. I was asked to speak at the Pekin basketball banquet when they won the state with Donnie Hawkins, who was one of the better coaches in the state. And he said, Coach, before you come up here, I have a fellow say something. And it was Dave Snell. And Dave was in junior and high school. And he had my voice down. You know, I got a raspy voice, still do. And he had my voice down. He was funny and gave a speech. Nothing for me to say. And we've been good friends since that time, worked together, had a lot of fun together. He's been a butt of many of my jokes as well, but it's been a pleasure. But we made a real good hire several years ago, and I was going to say this whether they're here or not, but with President Roberts and with Chris, and they've been an asset to Bradley, not just up on the campus, but around the community, and we're fortunate to have people like that in our program. I have three of my sons here today. Our oldest boy, Joe, passed away of cancer a year ago. But Jerry was able to make it up from Florida, which I appreciated. And both Jim and John are here, and they're twins, and they played for the legendary coach Van Syke down at Manual. But they've done a lot to help both Marilyn and myself. So it's a pleasure for me to be down here, and I wish all of you well. Thank you.
Congratulations, Coach. The Missouri Valley Conference has a phenomenal background in track and field. And our next inductee is synonymous with excellence in those sports, but also at Indiana State University. The late John McNichols becomes the 5th Valley Conference track and field coach to enter the Hall of Fame. Teaming with his close friend, John Gartland, in 1988, McNichols took over the combined men's and women's track program following the 89-90 season in a joint effort with Gartland. McNichols guided Indiana State to 38 total team titles, 11 in cross country, 10 in indoor track, 17 in outdoor track, and coached 456 Valley track champions and 8 cross country champions. In 2007, McNichols and Gartland were 2 of 11 coaches, the only coaching duo so recognized, to be named to the league's All-Centennial team. McNichols brought Indiana State national prestige in both track and cross country, mentoring 15 national champions, 113 All-Americans. McNichols and Gartland-led track teams also finished in the top 25 16 times, including 2 amazing streaks, 4 top 25 finishes for the women during 1993 and 94, and 4 for the men from 99 to 2001. However, Coach McNichols' crowning achievement might have been, though, the execution and the design and construction that became the Laverne Gibson Championship Cross-Country Course in Terre Haute, which was awarded first the 2002 National Championship for NCAA Division I, the first of 12 national meets to be awarded to the Terre Haute site. McNichols was later inducted into the Indiana State Athletics Hall of Fame and the United States Track and Field and Cross Country Coaches Hall of Fame a year ago. As Valley correspondent Grant Pugh outlines, McNichols was a visionary who received more than a little help from his friends.
He deserves all these tributes. He deserves everything that gets handed to him because he's worked so hard, and we're very proud of him.
Well, I think John would be very pleased with it. He took a great deal of pride being in the Missouri Valley Conference. He took a great deal of pride. It wasn't just our program, but many of the programs that rose up and really caught the attention of the track world.
34 years, 38 conference titles. If you were to look up Hall of Famer in the dictionary, you would find Coach John McNichols.
Performances alone over 30-some years of coaching at the national level, you don't see a lot of Indiana State type schools at the national finals, and he was there over and over and over again with multiple different athletes.
I definitely could call him the greatest coach here. Maybe I'm being biased, maybe not, but you know, he has the reputation and the history to prove that.
The number of conference championships that both the men and the women won, the number of times that we had athletes at the NCAA meets, and our place, both the men and the women, in the NCAA meets at times. All of those things, I think, lend themselves to John being the greatest coach ever here.
His vision not only put Indiana State on the map, but turned the Sycamore program into a nationally respected powerhouse, hosting not just big track and field meets, but the NCAA cross-country national championships.
And should serve this university and community very well for a long time.
I don't think he realized how many times we would have it, how good we would do with it, how much the coaches want to keep coming back here. We're running into coaches this year that are excited in 2019 in November. We're going to have it again. So yes, I think that's one of his crowning achievements.
You can look at the stats and numbers all day long, but it's the impact he made on people that puts him at the top of any Hall of Fame list.
If you walk around the halls at Indiana State, it's pretty neat to ask the other coaches in other sports their, I guess maybe legacy, because a lot of them have known them. It's pretty cool.
Unbelievable mentor. The things that he accomplished here at Indiana State are second to none, the best ever.
He's certainly one of those coaches who has left his mark. His legacy is certainly set at Indiana State.
But when I met Coach McNichols, saw kind of his vision, his outlook, the way he handled himself, and the way he looked at a program, and the way he coached individuals, I was like, that's the guy I want to be with the next 4 years. And here I am 15 years later, still here.
To have that span of people that you had an influence on really reflects well on this university, because we've had a lot of people do great things from him. And I guess the way he taught and the way he had high expectations of them, hopefully they are living lives that way too.
The other thing is, it wasn't just a fluke for the success that we had here. John was a heck of a coach. I mean, there's just no question about it. You look late in his career, he was coaching Timlin, who ran under 4 minutes in the mile. He was coaching a 13-3 hurdler, and Greg Marr and Adarius soon after that. I mean, it was amazing that he, quote, stayed on top of his game all the way to the end of his career.
Ladies and gentlemen, accepting on behalf of John McNichols is his daughter, Janie Zabo.
On behalf of the entire McNichols family, we thank the Missouri Valley Conference for honoring Dad. Today, we are honoring Dad for his accomplishments as a coach. However, away from the cross-country course or the track, Dad was a husband for 46 years to our mom, Linda, a wonderful father to my brother, Matt, sister Rachel, and myself, a welcoming father-in-law to Julie, Jamie, and John, and a supporting grandfather to 10 grandkids. As his kids and grandkids, we remember him for his guidance, his encouragement, support, optimism, work ethic, passion, and enduring love. Though difficult at times with his cross-country, indoor track, and outdoor track schedule, Dad made every effort to show up for the grandkids' events, including soccer and basketball games, gymnastics meets, dance recitals, school events, theatrical performances. He found time to put aside paperwork or a good solitaire game, to read books or take his grandkids on a tractor ride. Today's honor will be Dad's 6th Hall of Fame induction. We have been so blessed for Dad to be honored by so many great organizations at the local and state track and cross-country levels. By Indiana State University and nationally recognized by Drake Relays and the USA, or U.S. Track and Field and Cross Country Association. These honors highlight his efforts and contributions to his sport and also reflect the impact he had on the decades of athletes he coached. Dad was a visionary in the sport of track and field and cross country and in our Terre Haute community. His visions led to the trail system in Terre Haute, the Laverne Gibson cross country course, and the Gibson Track and Field Complex. These facilities have played host to Missouri Valley Conference championships, along with the Laverne Gibson Cross Country Complex has hosted multiple national championships, as you heard on the video. By definition, a servant leader focuses primarily on the growth and well-being of people and the communities to which they belong. The servant leader shares power, puts the needs of others first, and helps people develop and perform as highly as possible. There could not be a more perfectly accurate way to describe Dad. Dad led by example and served others. This mentality allowed our McNichols family to expand each year as Indiana State welcomed new coaches and athletes. He woke up every morning excited to go to work, and he had an unwavering passion for not only his career, but for the relationships he forged with the student athletes. Dad's coaches and athletes were and still a part of our family. Off script just a bit, as you saw in the video and you heard from John Gartland, I think Dad would want Gartland standing next to him as he would have accepted this award and his other Hall of Fame. They were partners just as close as my dad was a partner with my mom. We always said his other spouse was Gartland. So thanks to Gartland for the many years of support. We are truly appreciative that the Missouri Valley Conference has chosen to honor Dad through this induction. This wonderful event has given us another opportunity to reflect on what an amazing impact Dad had on this sport, which he loved so much. His legacy will continue to flourish through all of these, from all of those former athletes, coaches, and anyone else whose life he was able to affect. In addition, it will continue to impact, the student athletes at Indiana State University through what we form the John McNichols Memorial Fund. This fund will continue to support the programs at ISU for what we hope is a very long time. We hope to carry on Dad's legacy because not only did he love Indiana State, but he loved the Valley, and he continued to stay in Terre Haute and support the many blessings he gained from the sport and the conference. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Janie. When you broadcast in the Valley for 25 years, one of the things I'm most proud of is my neutrality, cheering for all 10 schools equally in the Valley banner. But full disclosure, I've got some favorites individually, and the next 3 are on that list. Our next inductee was phenomenal to watch her play. Christy Cerrone is one of only 2 women basketball student athletes to capture the Jackie Stiles Trophy, presented to the league's Player of the Year. She won it 3 consecutive seasons, only one of 2 people to do it, the other being Jackie Stiles herself. Christy was at Illinois State. The Birds took back-to-back regular season Valley Conference championships. 2 WNIT Birds punched a ticket to the 2008 Big Dance. A native of Chicago, Cerrone was an honorable mention All-American, a 4-time All-Valley selection, and a 3-time member of the Valley All-Defensive Team. Christy is a member of the Missouri Valley Conference All-Centennial Team, the Valley's women's basketball 25th anniversary team, as well as an Illinois State Redbird Hall of Fame inductee. As Valley correspondent Kurt Pegler explains, Christy Cerrone became the face of the Redbird program and a new generation of basketball student athlete in the Valley.
When she recruited Christy Cerrone to play at Illinois State, Robin Pinchton figured she had a special player coming to campus.
We recruited her against some other bigger programs, and so we felt really blessed when she decided to come in and really be the face of our program. And from day one, she certainly made an impact, not only on the court, but in the locker room.
The Chicago native became more than just the face of the Redbird program. Cerrone essentially became the face of the Missouri Valley Conference, winning the league's Player of the Year honor 3 times and taking the Redbirds to 3 national postseason tournaments.
She started every game that she could have here at Illinois State. The other thing that amazed me is she was a captain as a freshman, and she was a captain for 4 years. We've never had that here at Illinois State.
She was just relentless with her work ethic and hungry to be the best she could be, hungry to help our team be the best that it could be. And you know, she had an unbelievable work ethic.
When she graduated in 2009, Cerrone left school with a degree, and she left as Illinois State's record holder in career points, 3-pointers, free throws, and assists. She was also a 3-time Valley All-Defensive Team selection.
There's so many great memories. There was a lot of success there. She did a lot of great things for us as a player, as a leader of that team, and forever grateful for Christy, and not only the player that she was, but more importantly, the person that she was.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome our next inductee, now coaching her own team, Christy Cerrone of Illinois State.
I was just saying I look a lot different then than I do now. I'm a little bigger. First, I just want to congratulate the other nominees. I know it's a big honor to be in it. I am just so blessed and humbled to be a part of this prestigious Hall of Fame and to be a part of such history and the amazing athletes that came before me. Some of the best days of my life were playing in the Missouri Valley Conference for Illinois State University. To me, this award is not just an individual award. I would not be up here today if there was not just so many people in my life that deserve recognition. First, thank you to the Missouri Valley Conference and everyone involved for including me in this honor. I would not be where I am today without my parents and the love and support that they have given me my whole life. I know it was very hard for them when I stopped playing. They didn't know what to do with themselves. So now they watch me coach. To my mom, who sacrificed so much for her children to let us do what we dream to do in our lives. I've never met a more selfless and caring person than she is. I want to be the type of mom to my son that she is to us. I always tell her the only thing that she needed to improve on was her rebounding skills. After a while, she'd just roll the ball out to me. I'd have to pick it up. You know, she wasn't the best at that. But thank you for everything, and I'm so grateful to you. To my dad, he couldn't be here today. He was more of the silent one compared to my mom and my aunts. I just want to thank him for all his support. He was more of one that listened to me instead of telling me what to do on the court. I want to thank my brother Tommy. As much as I hate to admit it, I wanted to be like him when I was younger, and I played every sport that he did. He'd help me get tougher in our one-on-one games, even though my mom made us stop playing because we'd get into fights. He hates to admit it, but I did beat him at times. My son's definitely going to have a great uncle. My huge support system included my aunts and uncles. They would be at the game all the time. Everyone knew they were in the gym because they were so loud and they made their presence known. I definitely want to thank my Aunt Maureen, who is here today. She was always like a second mom to me. And my Uncle Vito, who is the ultimate intense sports junkie. I know he wasn't around for my playing days, but I want to thank my husband Garrett for all that he has done for me and my family. He's going to be a great dad, but all that I ask is that our son has my athletic ability. But his support has meant so much to me. To my friend Danielle, she made the trip with her husband, Michael. Thank you for all your support throughout the years. You don't find many friends like her, and she's like the sister that I've never had. I am so proud to be a Redbird, and the great thing about Illinois State is all the people that are there. I want to specifically thank the administration and all the support staff during my time there for all their effort. They truly make it a great experience for their student athletes. Finally, I would not be at this podium today without my coaches and teammates. Sometimes in college athletics, it's a business, but not at Illinois State. It was a family. I would not be here without them and the success that we had. Obviously, you heard we went to the NCAA tournament, the WNIT. Those are the memories that I think of when I think of my time at Illinois State. Thank you to my coaches who pushed me to be the best that I could be. They're obviously not here because they're coaching their teams in their respected tournaments. And I also want to thank my teammates who are like my sisters. And all the fun memories that we've had. This award right here is definitely because of them also and everything that they did for the university and for me. So I just want to say thank you. It's such an honor, and I'm so happy to be here.
Thank you, Christy, and congratulations. Christy told me the baby's due May the 30th. We're very proud of compliance in the Valley. But all 10 coaches will be there on May 31st. Like, can you recruit a yet-to-be-born baby? I'm not sure. That will come up in your meetings on campus. See all 10 presidents going, can we do that? Our next inductee personifies the thought it's better to give and receive. I said this yesterday. There's traffic and weather together on the 9s on radio stations. Look at what's happened in the Valley on the years that end in 9. You can just look it up after 1949. Look what happened, 1959. 1969, They had a terrific celebration this year on the Drake campus to celebrate the 50th anniversary of that Drake team that went all the way to the Final Four. And this next inductee was on that team. He was also courted by the Dallas Cowboys, drafted by the Celtics in 1969. But Dolph Pulliam remained in Des Moines and became a giver. He became active in the community, becoming the first African-American television broadcaster in Iowa. In 1989, Dolph became Director of Athletic Marketing at Drake before moving into a position of Director of Community Outreach and Development prior to his retirement in 2014. Honored with the prestigious Drake Double D Award in 2011 for his tremendous success in his field and the impact that he's made in the community, Dolph was also inducted into the state of Iowa's African American Hall of Fame in 2006 and the state of Indiana, think about that, the state of Indiana Basketball Hall of Fame in 2009. He has also received the John Sanders Spirit of the Valley Award in 2011. His number's been retired at Drake, and he has been recognized numerous times for his service to organizations like Easter Seals, Federation of Labor, and the Boy Scouts of America. But I asked him yesterday, and all of us, it begs the question, Dolph, where is that blue suit, man? Where is that blue suit? Ladies and gentlemen, as Valley correspondent Michael Admire relates, Dolph's actions spoke louder than words.
We thought that Coach John was preparing us to fight in Vietnam, not win a basketball game.
Dolph Pulliam has always had a knack for telling good stories, and his personal journey is one worth sharing.
Number 5 at forward, 6'4" senior from Gary, Indiana, Dolph Pulliam.
Like many athletes, Dolph left his hometown to chase the dream of playing college basketball. But Dolph's move to Des Moines changed the path of his entire life.
Really a family that we had, and it had to be a family for us to get as far as we got that year. And there were several things that happened to cause that team to become a family.
Pulliam became a key cog on Drake's only Final Four team. Known for his defensive prowess, Pulliam was often called to shut down the opponent's top offensive player.
He changed his game when he came to Drake. Maury John said, hey, we want you to play defense, 6'4", big frame. And he took pride in that. He was a great defensive player, the emotional catalyst of the team.
100% all the time. In fact, he worked so hard on defense that his shoes would literally rip apart.
Saving his shoes was a lost cause, but in the midst of a 1969 Final Four campaign, it was Dolph that repaired a season on the verge of a tailspin.
Ultimate team leader and spokesperson.
Kept everybody together. If there was any problems, they didn't last long because Dolph got it handled. So just a tremendous teammate, and of course he's been a tremendous asset to Drake.
These guys not only bonded, but I think there was kind of the four-letter word that they had was love.
That feeling permeated throughout the community, which is why Iowa's Governor Robert D. Ray encouraged Dolph to stay in Des Moines and turn down offers to play for the Boston Celtics and football with the Dallas Cowboys.
This is Midday with Mary Brubaker and Dolph Pulliam.
Became the first African-American television personality in the state of Iowa. He turned down these opportunities, worked with the local CBS affiliate for over 25 years, and then he wanted to give something back to his alma mater. And I can't recall in all the years I've been at Drake where there's been another athlete who has given back to his university like Dolph has.
You've been supporters, you've been everything in my life, and I want to thank you for that.
A lifelong ambassador of Drake and community, Dolph Pulliam's story is Hall of Fame caliber.
Ladies and gentlemen, our next inductee, the man of that blue leather suit and a whole lot more, Dolph Pulliam.
Thank you, Mitch. I felt like I wanted to go in and play a few rounds, but it fleetingly went away. First of all, I would like to congratulate all of the honorees here today. Thank you, Missouri Valley Conference Hall of Fame Committee, for your selections. At this time, I'd also like to introduce our president from Drake University, Dr. President Martin, our athletic director, Brian Harden. Also, there is a whole host of my friends that have been part of my life for so many years. They've come a long ways to be here today, and there are too many of them to recognize and call by name, but I'd like for you to just give us a wave. I'd like to do a special recognition as well to my family that has come with me because they've meant so much to me all my life. My sister Clara from Chicago, my sister Cora from Gary, Indiana, and my brother Dr. Roger Pulliam, Professor Emeritus, University of Wisconsin-Whitewater. Roger. Back in the 1940s, late 30s, early 40s, my brothers and sisters, all 9 of us, were born in front of the fireplace in our one-room, tin-roof shack in the cotton fields of Mississippi. We lived in those days under the auspices of the Ku Klux Klan and the Jim Crow laws. Didn't have rights in Mississippi. We couldn't go to the hospitals to be born. We had no rights. But my mother, as strong as she was able to get us out of Mississippi, sneak us out of Mississippi. And she got us to Oran, Missouri, where we were to pick cotton for a farmer there in that little town. Soon after that, my mom died in Oran, and she's now buried. She's still buried there in Oran, Missouri. My brother Roger was the first one in my family to get a scholarship to go to college. And that told me that I can follow Roger. I can get a scholarship as well. I can go to school. And I did. I followed in his footsteps. In those days, African-American females were not offered scholarships. But if they did, my 2 sisters, Clara and Cora, probably would have pursued them as well. As time went on, I found myself a senior in high school. I am on the Indiana All-Star basketball team. I am guarding a fellow by the name of Butch Beard. And at the end of the game, Butch and I met in the middle of the court, and he was congratulating me. And he said, man, he says, nobody has ever guarded me like you have. He says, I am so happy that you're going to the University of Indiana because I'm going to Louisville, and we're in the Missouri Valley Conference, and we don't play each other. And I will never see you again. We laughed, just like you are right now. And he walked away. The second he walked away, another fellow stepped up to me and he said, nice game, Dolph Pulliam. And I said, thank you. And he says, I just prayed that I get to meet you. And I stopped, and I said, who are you? And he says, well, my name is Morris John. And I said, well, Mr. Johns, I never heard about you. What do you do? He says, I'm a college basketball coach. And I said, well, Coach, I'm going to Drake. I'm going to Indiana. He says, that's what I heard, and I read that in the paper. He says, I'm not trying to recruit you. And I went, okay. Then I said, Coach, can I ask you a question? Where are you from? And he says, well, I'm from Drake University. I says, Drake University? I says, I never heard of Drake. And I said, so where's Drake? He says, well, it's in Des Moines, Iowa. And I says, well, Coach, you got me there too. He said, that's okay. That's all right. Let me ask you some questions. What are you going to major in at Indiana? And I said, well, Coach, I don't know yet. They haven't talked with me about my education. And he said, well, son, what happens if you go to Indiana and after 4 years, all you have is a degree in basket weaving? How are you going to get out there and get a job? And I says, well, that's easy, Coach. I'm going to play for the Boston Celtics in the NBA or the Dallas Cowboys in the NFL. He says, oh, you are? I said, yes, sir. Yes, sir. He says, what happens if you don't graduate from college and you don't get drafted into the pros? What are you going to do to earn a living? And I says, Coach, I don't know. He said, son, he says, if you come with me, I'll treat you just like you were my son. I'll do everything a father would do for his son. When you get into trouble, I'll get on you. When you do things well, I'll praise you, tell you I love him, I love you, give you a hug. He said, but I guarantee you that in 4 years, you will graduate from Drake University, not with a degree in basket weaving, but one you can get out there and get a job with. And I said, I want to go to Drake. So I came to Drake. My freshman year, I led the team in scoring and rebounding. My sophomore year, Coach called me into his office, and he says, Dolph, after watching you for a year, he says, Dolph, now I know how we're going to get to the NCAA tournament. And I says, yeah, Coach, just put that ball into my hands, and I'm going to get you there. And he says, well, no, Dolph. He said, I see something different. I really see how we can get there. We can get to the NCAA tournament, Dolph, if you become my defensive stopper. And I said, oh, no, Coach. Oh, no, not defense. He says, yeah, you got to be my defensive stopper, and we're going to get to the NCAA tournament. I said, nah, the pros will never hear about me. They will never, the sports writers will never write about me. The announcers will never call my name. Coach, I gotta be on the offensive side. Dolph, why don't you go back to your dorm, think about it for the night, come back and talk with me tomorrow. So I went back to my dorm, almost in tears. I called my aunt back in Gary, Indiana, and I told them what Coach John had said he wanted us to do. And I said, Annie, I'm going to leave Drake, and I'm coming back to Gary, and I'm going to transfer to Indiana. I knew she would go along with me because she loved me. And my aunt said, no, you're not. You're going to stay there at Drake, and you're going to do what that man tells you to do. And if you come back here to Gary, I'm going to shoot you with my gun. The next morning, I walked into Coach John's office, and I says, well, Coach, I'm going to be your defensive stopper. By my senior year, you could probably count on one hand the number of people that scored their average against me. Now we've won the rights to go to an NCAA tournament, and we're in Manhattan, Kansas. And in Manhattan, Kansas, we beat the Texas Aggies, followed by Colorado. After that, we had won the rights to go to the NCAA Final Four, the first team in the history of Drake University to get there. In the dressing room, we're celebrating, having the time of our lives. A man walked into the dressing room and said to Coach John, I'd like to speak to Dolph Pulliam. Coach said, there's Dolph. He walks over to me and he said, son, do you know who I am? And I says, well, yes, sir. You're Coach Tom Landry with the Dallas Cowboys. And he says, do you know why I'm here? And I says, no, sir. He said, I came here to support the Texas Aggies. And I went, oh, Coach, we just beat them. And he says, I know that, but I was watching you. He says, son, you guarded our leading scorer. That guy was averaging 24 points a game, and he only scored 5 on you. He says, son, I've never seen anybody play defense like that in my life, and I wanted to come into this dressing room and just shake your hand. He says, good luck the rest of the way, but I'm going to be watching you. And he turned to walk out of the room, and I said, Coach John was right. Somebody will recognize me. Somebody will appreciate my defense. Maybe I can get to the NBA. We got to the finals of the NCAA tournament. The rest is history. We lost to UCLA. We get back to Des Moines, and the first call I got was from Tom Landry with the Dallas Cowboys. He said, son, I was watching you on the national television coverage. And he said, son, I am so impressed with you, not just because of your defense, but the way you carried yourself out there on that floor and your teammates. He says, I want you to play for me, and I will teach you to be the most feared defensive back in all of the NFL. And I told him my agent will be in touch with him. I got a call from Red Auerbach. I can't tell you the words that he used, but he was a very colorful man. But the thing that I wanted to end with is that it's the defense. I enjoyed playing defense. I enjoyed shutting down my opponent. I enjoyed helping my team to win. I enjoyed doing whatever I could to do to make that team win. And they appreciated it. And little did I know, media was following along, and they appreciate it today. That's why I hope that media all over the world will continue to support, write about, encourage young people that are on that floor playing defense. Sure, we hear about the leading scorer, but who is that guy that's held the other team's, the opponent's leading score under his average? That is what Coach John said wins basketball games, and that it does. I'm ready to end now, but I just wanted to say, my brothers and sisters and I have traveled some difficult roads to get to where we are today. And there's a poem that I wanted to share with you, just the last stanza because I'm out of time. And it's from one of my favorite poets, Robert Frost, who said in his poem, The Road Not Taken. The end of that poem, he says, and I shall be telling this with a sigh, somewhere ages and ages hence, that two roads diverged into a yellow wood, and I took the one less traveled by. And that has made all the difference. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much. I'm very honored.
I asked Dolph, where's the blue leather suit? He said, Drake owns it now. So the university has it. And hopefully when people from years to come will ask about that suit, Dolph, they'll find out the depth of your story. And I think Dolph's a bit of a prophet, because watch the 4 games today. What I've learned about this league in my brief 25 years is that the team that defends will win. Our final inductee, one of my favorites as well, the only men's basketball player in Southern Illinois history to lead the team in scoring for 4 straight years, and think about the Salukis' terrific history. Kent Williams helped the Salukis to back-to-back NCAA tournament appearances, including a Sweet 16 run in 2002. He graduated in 2003. He scored over 2,000 points in his Saluki career, the Salukis' second all-time leading scorer. He was All-Conference 3 times. He was the Valley's Newcomer of the Year and Freshman of the Year in 2000. He also back-to-back appearances on the League Scholar Athlete team, and in 2003 became the first repeat winner of the Conference's Scholar Athlete of the Year award. He was from Mount Vernon, not far from Carbondale, and he was inducted into the Southern Illinois Athletics Hall of Fame in 2009. You'll see in the video Bruce Weber, and I admire Bruce. He's trying to win a Big 12 title this weekend in Manhattan, Kansas. But one of his all-time favorites, too, is Kent Williams. We've talked about it in other conversations. He was trying to get Kent, but he wasn't sure after he went to the KMOX shootout, after Kent dropped 48 on Rainier Beach, Washington, that had Jamal Crawford and Nate Robinson on the team, whether they could get him or not. You'll see the story. But Kent, much like Christy and Dolph and the others awarded here, have carried on helping others. Kent Williams, since his playing days at SIU, also served an assistant at SIU Edwardsville, University of Tennessee, and Missouri State, and is a supervisor of basketball operations with former Valley coach Matt Painter at Purdue. Kent is currently the varsity boys coach at prestigious DeSmet Jesuit High in St. Louis. As Valley correspondent Sam McGlone shares, Kent Williams and his Saluki teammates introduced the basketball universe and the Valley to floor burn you.
There are many faces on the walls of SIU Arena. Coaches, players, moments, some of the greatest in Southern Illinois history. One of the most storied and prolific is this man, a Southern Illinois native who helped spark one of the most storied runs in mid-major college basketball. His name is Kent Williams.
He's the most impactful SIU basketball player I've covered. Others have done more statistically, others have won more games, others have had a lot of impact. But considering the total package, points, wins, and the buzz that he brought from Mount Vernon, nobody's been more impactful than Kent Williams.
From 1999 to 2003, Williams captured the hearts and imagination of Saluki fans everywhere, becoming second all-time in scoring at Southern.
He is the type of person you'd want your daughter to date, you'd want your kids to be babysat by. You can trust him with the world. Kent Williams is as good a human being as Southern has had in its athletic program, let alone its basketball program.
At the end of his career, Williams would finish second all-time in scoring, second in made three-pointers, second in career free throws, and tally the most minutes played at Southern Illinois.
One of my big moments was going to watch Kent in St. Louis at the Camo X, and we were not very good, and I didn't know if we'd win a game. I was starting to believe the guy at the press conference, and I sat way up on top of Camo X, and it was in the old Savis or whatever it was, and Kent had about 12 in the first quarter, so I moved down one section. Then he had about 25 at halftime, and then now he's in his 30s, and he's going to break the all-time scoring record for Camo X. By the end of the game, I was sitting at the press row, had my Saluki stuff on. I was proud. I thought maybe we had a chance.
During his career at SIU, Williams would play on 2 NCAA tournament teams, including a 2002 Sweet 16 appearance. In 2003, he would finish a close second to Kyle Korver for the Larry Bird Trophy, given to the Valley Player of the Year.
He's simply one of the best players in Missouri Valley Conference history. Not only is he the most impactful in the 40 years that I've been around SIU, he impacted the Missouri Valley Conference. He's one of the best to ever put on a uniform for a Missouri Valley Conference school.
Ladies and gentlemen, our final inductee of the 2019 class, and maybe the co-captain of Floor Burn U with Darren Brooks, Kent Williams.
Thank you, Mitch. Thank you, Doug. It's an honor to be up here today, and very thankful for this opportunity. And so, as everybody else mentioned, I want to congratulate all the other inductees. We're a team together now as we're going in for the same year, and we'll always be linked together. Thank you to the Missouri Valley for this honor and being part of this special day. Going back, watching the highlights, it's fun. And get a chance to share something with my family. My wife and my daughter and my son are here. My wife, Jessica, my daughter, Kennedy, and my son, Hudson. Give them a hand. They had a hard time waiting since Daddy was last. So I've got 2 other ones at home. They're 2-year or 4-year-old twins. We don't bring them out in public much, so I think everybody else is better off served them not being here. They'd probably just boo me anyways. So, but none of this happens without a great support system. You can't become a Hall of Famer or have success and do the things that you want to do as a player and as a person without being raised the right way and having the right people around you. My parents, Barb and Brad, are here. My brother, Scott, his son, Carson, and also my sister, Lacey, who's not here today. Had a lot of impact on my life. Go to all of my games, drive me everywhere I had to be. It's pretty special when you can wait for your dad to come home from work and you know he's not going to say no to you if you want to go play catch in the backyard or go shoot some baskets or coach your little league team, whatever it is. I had support growing up, and I appreciate that. And that meant a lot to me, and that's helped me become the man who I am today. So I don't know about Mike Reese saying dating your daughter and all that, but I was lucky enough to play in my backyard. Grew up in Southern Illinois, grew up a fan of the Salukis, and to get a chance to play somewhere where that support system could follow me and be a part of what I was doing. Because I said, it's not alone. You've got a lot of people there helping you. We even had Jefferson County Day at Southern Illinois for our games. A lot of support, a lot of fans that would come to games. And then give Coach Weber credit. He recruited me, and I committed to that man before he ever coached a game. So I put my faith into him, and he put his faith into me. Pretty amazing staff that we had there when you go back and look at it. When I got a chance to play for Bruce Weber, you see the things that he's done, even beyond SIU. Matt Painter, you see what he's continuing to do at Purdue. Chris Lowry, Rodney Watson, all guys who became head coaches. And to get a chance to learn the game of basketball with those guys was a special time. Everybody uses the terminology blood, sweat, and tears, and I feel like I did that. If you watch me play, I definitely was bleeding all the time. You can ask our trainer, Ed Thompson. I was diving on the floor. Mitch talked about floor burn you. That's what we were, and that's what we were about. We were going to go outplay you. We're going to fight you. I started having Ed tape me up before the game. I said, hey, I'm coming out of the game too many times. You fixing me up with these bandages. Go ahead and just take me now. Let's get it out of the way. So, but probably stuck my nose in places it shouldn't have been too many times, but that's all right. That's how I played. And then sweat, I put a lot of time into it. And that time was not just once I got to college, but it was before then. You work on it to get to that level. I give a lot of my coaches, a lot of my high school teammates, a lot of my best friends, a lot of credit for that because I was prepared to play college basketball as soon as I stepped foot on campus. And Coach showed that by starting me every game for my career, and which led to me being the school's all-time leader in minutes played. And I've had a lot of people ask me, what you're most proud of. You've done a lot of things, and the biggest thing was the minutes played. And I said, because of that, I didn't miss one practice. Wasn't late for one practice. I didn't miss one game. I was reliable, and Coach could count on me. And that was what I would try to be. No matter how many points I scored, you're going to have good games, you're going to have bad games, but to come out and just know that you're going to be reliable, Coach can count on me. He's going to count on my effort. Hey, if the ball's not falling that day, you're going to do something else. You're going to dive on the floor. You're going to take a charge. You're going to get somebody else a shot. Bring something else to the game that can impact your team. And then tears. It's sports. There's championships being won. There's championships being lost. I was fortunate enough to cut down the nets twice, shed some tears with your teammates in the locker room, spray each other with water bottles, acting like it's champagne, celebrating. That's still my favorite moment of any sport is when you go in the locker room and you celebrate. And I'm fortunate enough here. I've got my guys right here. I've got about 12 or 13 of my current players from Dismet, and I appreciate these guys coming out. And I've told those guys, I said, guys, all the hard work that we put into, the best moment is when we go in that locker room and we celebrate and put together something as a team, and we have a good time with that. So, and there's also tears. Every time I think of the Missouri Valley Tournament, unfortunately, some tears come to my mind. So we were in the championship the last 2 years, my junior, senior year. Got right there, got on the verge of standing on that stage, but we still were able to get at-large bids to the NCAA tournament. I got to play 2 NCAA tournaments, go to the Sweet 16 my junior year. It was a great run, most memorable time of my life as a player. Played up in Chicago. We knocked off Bob Knight's Texas Tech in the first round, and then moved on to Georgia in the second round. And it was one of those games where we got down 18 points, I believe, in the first half. And Coach Weber calls timeout, and the only thing he cared about was let's not get embarrassed. And he just said, we got to fight. Don't come out here and be happy with one win in the tournament. Don't embarrass ourselves. Let's keep fighting. And then, hey, little by little, we chipped away. And then we were down 3 points at halftime. But we went storming in that locker room knowing that we were going to win the game because the momentum changed, and we felt it. We felt it in the arena. We felt it as a team, and the Georgia players felt it. And the whole second half, we turned the tables on them and went on to win and advance to the Sweet 16. So one of the special memories that I have. But again, this is just wanted to share that with you guys because that's something going through as a player. Those are special times, and again, having a lot of support from family, from friends, and to be able to play in my hometown, basically in Southern Illinois. And if anything, I would always want people to take this from how I played. I laid it on the table. I played as hard as I could. I'm just a small town kid from Mount Vernon, Illinois, barely over 6 feet tall. Take away all the stats, things you did, just go out and compete. And if you talk about leaving a legacy with how you played, all I wanted the people to know was every time I stepped foot on the floor, I was going to give it all I had. I was going to lay it on the floor. I was going to dive on the floor. I was going to make the play, whatever it took. I was just going to play as hard as I could. And hopefully that encouraged other little kids to see that they could do the same thing. They can grow up in any area, just learn to play hard, and your dreams can come true. Thank you.
Thanks, Kent. I do appreciate Mike Reese's comments. I didn't think it was that much of a stretch, to talk about dating your daughter, but I thought the stretch of babysitting your kids, that was a little far. One of the things that impresses me about this year's class is not just today and the plaques, but the conduit to the future. And Coach, to see your guys back here, and Dolph and Christy and the others, I'm reminded of that. It goes beyond today. And congratulations. Let's congratulate them all again, all of our inductees in the class of 2019. Coach also wanted me to announce you guys will be running gassers at 10:15, so get loose, all right? Let's get some floor burns for DeSmet. That concludes our President's Hall of Fame breakfast. We do need our inductees, if you can hang around for a second, and the representatives to come forward for pictures. And you're welcome to, individually, the families and friends that are here to take pictures as well. However, very, very, very important announcement from a procedural standpoint. To attend today's afternoon session, we're getting ready to play 4 games here, you need to you need to depart from the Stiefel Theater and enter the Enterprise Center for your game tickets. You had to physically leave this facility, go around to the entrance for Enterprise Center, and enter the facility with your game tickets. Again, thank you for your support of the Missouri Valley Conference and for this Arch Madness men's basketball tournament. It's game on in the Valley. Game on in America's Renaissance Conference. Enjoy the madness.